Before we go any deeper into this darkness, make sure you're subscribed, hit like, and drop a comment. Because once these doors close, not everyone makes it back out. The sirens cut through the Colorado night like a warning no one could escape. Red and blue lights bounce off jagged mountain rock as armored vehicles tore up the narrow road toward a place that officially did not exist on most maps. The call had come in just after midnight. A federal transport had gone silent. No radio response. No GPS ping. Just a final, broken transmission with one phrase that made every agent in the room go still. He knows. The road ended at a fortress of concrete and steel. ADX Florence, the most secure prison on Earth. A place built not to rehabilitate, not to house, but to erase. Inside these walls lived men who had destroyed cities with words, money, and fear. Men so dangerous the system had decided the only way to stop them was total isolation. When the gate slammed shut behind the convoy, even seasoned federal officers felt it. The pressure, the silence, the sense that something here was always watching. The transport truck sat abandoned in the outer corridor, doors sealed, engine cold. No sign of forced entry. No bodies. No blood. Just the echo of a mistake that should have been impossible. Inside the control room, Warden Elias Crow stared at the security feeds. He had run ADX Florence for 7 years, long enough to believe nothing could surprise him anymore. He was wrong. One cell camera was blacked out. Cell D23. Crow felt his throat tighten. D23 was reserved for inmates classified as permanent administrative maximum. No human contact. No communication. No mistakes. The man inside that cell was Marcus Vale. Vale was not famous like the others. No documentaries. No best-selling books. He was a ghost. Former intelligence. Financial architect. The kind of man who never pulled a trigger but decided where the bullets landed. Prosecutors had called him the spine of 3 international criminal networks. Without him, entire organization collapsed. With him, governments quietly burned. Vale had been transferred to ADX Florence after the sealed federal trial. No public records. No press. The official statement said he would never speak to the outside world again. Crow leaned closer to the monitor. The timestamp flickered. The camera came back on. The cell was empty. Not destroyed. Not damaged. Empty. The room erupted into controlled chaos. Lockdown procedures slammed into place. Steel doors sealed corridors. Armed response teams moved with silent precision. No shouting. No panic. ADX Florence was designed for this moment. Crow's voice cut through the noise. Account for every inmate. Now, within minutes, the results came in. Every prisoner was present. Every cell secure. Except D23. The question no one wanted to ask hung in the air. How does a man vanish from the most secure prison on Earth without a single alarm? 3 hours earlier, a body had been found 90 miles away. A federal contractor dumped beside an abandoned A-strip. No wallet, no phone. Just a single object placed neatly on his chest. A folded piece of paper. On it, written in clean, deliberate handwriting, were 4 words. I never left. Agent Laura Bennett stood over the body as dawn crept across the desert. She had seen enough crime scenes to know when something was wrong, and this was wrong in a way that crawled under your skin. No signs of struggle. No defensive wounds. The man had been executed calmly, professionally. Bennett worked counterintelligence. Her job was to hunt threats that didn't want to be seen. When the call came from ADX Florence, she already knew who it would involve. Marcus Vale. She had chased his shadow for 5 years. Every time she got close, the trail dissolved. Accounts vanished. Witnesses recanted. Evidence burned in mysterious fires. Vale never threatened anyone. Never raised his voice. He simply waited, and system collapsed on their own. When he was finally arrested, Bennett thought it was over. She was wrong. At ADX Florence, she walked the corridors that swallowed sound. The air smelled sterile, lifeless. Guards didn't speak unless necessary. This place trained silence into people. They stopped at D23. The cell looked untouched. Bed bolted to the floor. Stainless steel sink. A single narrow window designed to let in light but not information. The door had not been forced. The lock had not been tampered with. Bennett crouched, scanning the floor. "There," she said. A scratch near the base of the wall, barely visible, too precise to be accidental. She traced it with her finger. "Someone wanted us to find this." Crow swallowed. "That's impossible." He was alone. No contact. No tools. Bennett stood, her expression dark. No contact doesn't mean no influence. They pulled Vale's file. Page after page of redacted text. Black bars where Liz had ended. What remained painted a picture of a man who specialized in contingency. Backup plans for his backup plans. Vale had once told an associate, according to an intercepted recording, that prison was just another operational environment. As they reviewed the surveillance timeline, something clicked. Vale had never tried to escape, not until the transport. 2 weeks earlier, a routine medical transfer had been approved. No red flags. Standard procedure. Vale had complied, silent as always. Bennett felt the cold realization settle in her chest. He wasn't breaking out, she said. He was being extracted. Crow stared at her. By who? Before she could answer, an alert flashed across the screen. An internal message flagged as priority. It came from a secure terminal in the prison. But the sender ID was impossible. D23. The message contained only one sentence. You built a cage. I built a network. Bennett felt every instinct scream at once. Vale had not just escaped. He was communicating. From inside a system designed to prevent exactly that. And if he could reach out from here, then nowhere was secure. They rushed to the server room, a concrete vault buried beneath layers of reinforced steel. Technicians swarmed the terminals, hands shaking despite years of training. One of them looked up, face pale. Someone accessed the internal network using credentials that don't exist. Bennett's phone buzzed. An unknown number. Against protocol. She answered. A familiar voice, calm and almost amused, filled her ear. Agent Bennett, you finally stepped into my house. Her grip tightened. Where are you, Marcus? A pause. A breath. Closer than you think. The call ended. At that exact moment, deep beneath ADX Florence, a locked maintenance door that had not been opened in 20 years triggered a silent alarm. When the response team forced it open, what they found inside changed everything. The door led into a tunnel that should not have existed. It stretched beneath ADX Florence like a buried artery, its concrete walls older than the prison itself. Dust hung in the air, undisturbed for decades, except for one thing. Fresh footprints. Boot prints, deliberate, evenly spaced, leading into the darkness. Agent Laura Bennett stood at the threshold, flashlight cutting through the gloom. Her heart pounded, not from fear, but from the realization that the prison's greatest secret had just been exposed. ADX Florence was designed to hold the most dangerous men alive, yet someone had carved a hidden passage beneath it long before the first inmate ever arrived. Who built this? She asked quietly. No one answered. The guards exchanged uneasy looks. Warden Crow's face had gone rigid, his confidence cracked for the first time. The blueprints of the prison had been classified, sealed, and reviewed by every federal agency imaginable. There was no mention of a tunnel, which meant Marcus Vale had known something they didn't. As the response team advanced, the tunnel opened into a chamber lined with rusted equipment. Old generators, outdated surveillance relays. This was not an escape tunnel. It was an observation post, a place designed to watch. On one wall, scratched into the concrete with unsettling precision, were dates. Decades worth. Each date matched a known prison riot, assassination, or internal scandal across the federal prison system. Bennett's stomach tightened. This place wasn't abandoned, she said. It was forgotten. And Marcus Vale had remembered. Back above ground, the Bureau launched a full-scale manhunt. Airports locked down. Borders flagged. Financial systems monitored. Vale's name triggered alerts across every intelligence network in the Western world. Nothing. No bank movement. No travel records. No digital footprint. It was as if he had dissolved the moment he left that cell. Then the first message appeared. A journalist in London received an anonymous email containing classified court documents that had never been released. In Berlin, a financial regulator found evidence on his desk exposing a laundering scheme tied to senior officials. In Washington, a retired senator's sealed misconduct file leaked overnight. All of them shared one thing. They were connected to the same covert network Marcus Vale had once been accused of running. Bennett watched the report stack up in the command center. "He's not hiding," she said. "He's reminding them." Crow rubbed his temples. "Of what?" "That he owns the secrets that build their power." Vale was not running. He was hunting. As pressure mounted, Bennett revisited the one place Vale had been truly confined. His cell. She studied it again, slower this time. The bed, the sink, the narrow window. Then she noticed a pattern. Tiny marks carved into the wall, so faint they blended with the concrete. At first glance, they looked random. Up close, they formed a grid, a code, coordinates. She cross-referenced them with the tunnel dates. The pattern matched perfectly. Vale had been mapping the prison from inside his cell, using sounds, vibrations, and time. Every footstep, every door cycle, every shift change. Isolation had not broken him. It had sharpened him. Her phone rang again. Unknown number. "You found the room," Vale said, his voice smooth, unhurried. Bennett didn't bother hiding her anger. "You were planning this long before you got here." A soft chuckle. "No, Agent Bennett. I planned it because I got here. People are getting hurt. That depends on your definition of hurt." She clenched her jaw. "What do you want?" A pause lingered, heavy and intentional. "Correction," he said. "I don't want anything. I'm collecting." The line went dead. Hours later, the first death tied directly to Vale's escape surfaced. A private security contractor found in his home, apparent suicide. But the forensics told a different story. No fingerprints, no forced entry, a staged ending. On the wall above the body, written in marker, was a familiar phrase. "He knows." Bennett recognized the contractor's name instantly. He had overseen inmate transport logistics for years, including Vale's. The extraction wasn't external. It was internal. Someone inside the system had helped him leave, and Vale was eliminating them one by one. As night fell, another alert came in. A guard at ADX Florence had vanished. No resignation. No transfer. His access badge was last used near the medical wing, days before Vale's disappearance. Bennett pulled the guard's file. Mid-level clearance. Heavy debts. Recently divorced. Vulnerable. Crow's voice dropped. If Vale turned him. He didn't turn him, Bennett said. He bought him. She felt a deeper fear take hold. Vale wasn't just dismantling the system. He was proving how easily it could be controlled. Then came the twist no one saw coming. A sealed federal file surfaced online. Not leaked. Published deliberately. It detailed the existence of ADX Florence's underground chamber, its original purpose, and the names of officials who had authorized its erasure from records. One of those names belonged to Elias Crow. The room went silent. Crow stared at the screen, color draining from his face. That file was destroyed. Bennett looked at him slowly. Apparently not. Before anyone could speak, Crow's phone buzzed. He didn't answer. It buzzed again. Then again. Bennett watched his hand shake as he finally lifted it to his ear. Vale's voice carried across the room, amplified by the silence. "You taught me how the prison works, Warden. Now I'm returning the favor." Crow's knees buckled. At that moment, alarm screamed through ADX Florence. Not an escape alert, an internal breach. And deep inside the prison, a cell door that should never open began to slide apart. The cell door opened with a sound that did not belong in ADX Florence. It was not the violent scream of metal being forced apart. It was smooth, controlled, authorized, the kind of sound that meant the system believed this was supposed to happen. Agent Laura Bennett ran. Red lights pulsed through the corridors as alarms overlapped into a single, suffocating wail. Guards poured into position, weapons raised, faces tight with fear they were trained never to show. This was not a riot, not an escape attempt. This was something worse, a correction to reality. The cell that opened was not empty. Inside sat a man the Bureau had buried years ago under sealed indictments and classified hearings. Samuel Kaur, former federal intelligence liaison, officially disgraced. unofficially erased, and according to the system, he had never left ADX Florence. Bennett skidded to a stop as the door locked behind her. Cole looked up slowly, his eyes calm, almost relieved. "I wondered how long it would take," he said. Crow arrived seconds later, breathless, his authority stripped raw by panic. That cell was inactive, no scheduled movement. Cole smiled faintly. Inactive doesn't mean forgotten. Bennett felt the shape of it coming together. Vale had not just escaped. He had rearranged the prison like a chessboard. "Marcus Vale put you here," she said. Cole nodded. "No, he saved me here." Years earlier, Cole had been the intermediary between intelligence agencies and private power brokers. He knew where classified operations crossed into profit. When he threatened to testify, he vanished into the system. No trial, no headlines, just silence. Vale had been one of the architects who ensured that silence. "He told me this place was perfect," Cole continued. "Total isolation. No visitors. No questions. You disappear without dying." Bennett's jaw tightened. "Then why open your door now?" Cole looked at her, something like regret flickering in his eyes. "Because Marcus is done hiding." Outside the cell block, the prison descended into controlled chaos. Doors cycled open and shut without command. Surveillance feeds looped. Internal communications delayed by seconds that felt intentional. Vale was inside the system. Crow backed away slowly. "This is impossible. These controls are offline." Bennett's phone buzzed. Unknown number. She answered without hesitation. "Chapter 3, Vale said softly. "This is where the story ends." "Where are you?" she demanded. "In the only place I ever was," he replied. "Inside." She turned in a slow circle, scanning the concrete, the cameras, the walls. "You're not here." A pause, a breath. "I am the architecture," Vale said. He explained it without boasting. That was what made it terrifying. Vale had never needed to escape ADX Florence physically. During construction, years before his arrest, shell companies he controlled had subcontracted critical infrastructure, redundant systems, maintenance fail-safes, analog overrides. He had designed invisible corridors within the digital nervous system of the prison. Isolation had given him time. Time to test, time to listen, time to map human behavior down to the second. Guards with habits, administrators with secrets, contractors with debts. The extraction had been simple. A body doubled during transport. A contractor already marked for death. Vale had left the cell empty because he had never been fully inside it. "What do you want?" Bennett asked again, her voice steady despite the weight crushing her chest. "Balance," Vale said. "They buried people alive in here. I am reopening the graves." Screens across the command center flickered on. Live feeds from sealed hearings. Financial transfers. Covert operations linked to politicians, judges, intelligence heads. Crow collapsed into a chair as his past decisions unspooled in real time. The hidden chamber. The erased blueprints. The favors traded for silence. Vale had not exposed the prison. He had exposed the lie beneath it. Core stepped out of his cell voluntarily, hands raised. Guards froze, unsure whether to restrain him or listen. This was never about escape, Core said quietly. It was about proof. Then the final message arrived. A public upload, not leaked anonymously. Signed, Marcus Vale. The statement detailed how ADX Florence had been used not only to contain monsters, but to hide inconvenient ones. Whistleblowers, operatives who knew too much, people removed without trial. Within minutes, international news outlets erupted. Congressional emergency sessions convened. European courts issued warrants. The system began to eat itself. Bennett's phone rang one last time. "Do you feel safer?" Vale asked. She swallowed. "No." "Good," he replied. "Neither do they." A gunshot echoed through the facility. Crow slumped forward, blood blooming across his uniform. Suicide, but Bennett knew better. A weapon placed in his hand. A final act staged to fit the narrative. Vale had decided who would fall. Emergency lights dimmed as power transferred to backup. Guards restrained Core without resistance. Outside, helicopters thundered overhead. And then, just like that, Vale was gone. No arrest, no body, no signal. Days later, ADX Florence was placed under indefinite review. Inmates relocated, systems dismantled, officials arrested. Bennett stood alone in the empty corridor outside D23. The cell was sealed again. Clean, silent, on the wall, barely visible beneath fresh paint. Someone had scratched a single sentence. Prisons do not hold power. People do. They never found Marcus Vale. But 3 months later, a classified transport convoy in another country vanished without a trace. No alarms, no survivors, and on the inside of an abandoned vehicle door, written in careful, familiar handwriting, were 4 words: I never left. If this story got under your skin, the next one will stay there. Make sure you subscribe, because some doors only open once.